it's Nina. Thanks for joining me today for my day of 5 ways in 5 days. We're gonna be putting on the glitz. I love holiday card making because of the fact that it gives me the excuse to use as much sparkle as I want, because what is better than holiday and sparkle? So I'm going to be sharing 5 different ways, plus a couple little bonus things here and there, focusing on adding some sort of glitter, sparkle, or shine to your holiday projects, and they're really simple and easy ways to get some really amazing bling. So we're going to kick off this holiday glitz by sharing hot foiling and toner foiling. Foiling in any method, whether you have a hot foiling machine or a toner foiling machine or both, you can add some amazing foiling to your projects, and that's going to add a lot of wow factor. So I'm going to start first with toner foiling, and what I'm doing right now is I'm using our Simon Says stamp sentiment strips. This is a reverse pack, and it's called Reverse Christmas Greetings. Because our Simon Says stamp sentiment strips are printed with toner ink, you can use them in your ink machine or laminator to transfer foil onto them. Of course, you want to make sure that you're using a toner foil, which is different from a hot foil. You can't interchangeably use these foils. But what I like to do is I like to foil a whole bunch of greetings all at once. So I'm using some different ThermoWeb foils. These are toner foils to be able to foil my sentiment strips. And I'm going to make a whole bunch of these because I'm going to use them throughout my projects that I'm going to be sharing in today's video. What I love most about it is the magic reveal when you peel off the foil and you get that gorgeous shiny greeting. It's always fun to do it in different colors. I have picked red, teal, green, gold, all the Christmas colors. Foiling with any sort of toner product is super simple. I'm going to walk you through the steps on this next one. So I have a carrier sheet from ThermoWeb. You can purchase these. I have them linked below in the video description and on the blog. And you're going to put inside of that carrier sheet your sentiment strip or toner sheet and also the toner foil. You want the pretty side of the foil up, and then you run it through your machine. Some machines may need a little bit of pressure. Mine likes a little bit of pressure, so I actually put a cardstock shim in mine, but not every machine needs it. So play around with everything to figure out the best results for you. If you have any excess foil sitting on top of your sentiment strip or toner sheet, just brush it off with a soft brush. And just like that, we have a whole bunch of these fabulous greetings that I can now use on my card projects. Switching gears, we're going to now do a little bit of hot foiling. Simon Says Stamp has beautiful hot foil plates, including this brand new Peace hot foil plate. I'm going to foil this with some pink. I always love an unexpected color combination for the holidays, so I thought it'd be fun to use some pink with this foiling plate to go ahead and transfer this onto my cardstock. And for that, I'm going to use our Simon Says Stamp white glossy cardstock. This cardstock is fantastic for hot foiling. It takes the foil beautifully. So to transfer a foil design onto your paper, you're going to want to lay your plate inside of your machine once it has heated up. Most machines have an indicator light that it's ready. I'm going to lay my plate in there, and then I'm going to take my foil and my paper and lay the paper and the foil pretty side down on top of the plate. Then any extra plates that you need to put on top of your sandwich that you're creating, you'll go ahead and put those on top of your machine and run it through the die cut machine that works with your foiling machine. So now I can peel back the foil to reveal that stunning sentiment. And whether you're using this for a sentiment or an image, like a snowflake, a Christmas tree, you name it, the foiling is going to add an immediate wow factor to your project. So we covered one topic already, and like I said, I'm going to come back to those pieces that I was working on, and we're going to incorporate them through the rest of the projects that I'm sharing today. And this is one of those projects. So I'm going to show you my next favorite way to add holiday glitz, which is to use metallic cardstocks. Simon Says Stamp has a beautiful array of classic staple metallic cardstocks. They're in a beautiful finish, and they not only die cut beautifully, but they work amazing with embossing folders. So I'm going to use some new folders from Simon Says Stamp. This one is the Holly and Pine. I'm going to emboss this gorgeous champagne metallic cardstock inside of my die cut machine, and check out that dimension and shine. 3D embossing folders give you that super deep impression, and because this metallic cardstock has such a reflective surface, it makes those embossed areas truly shine. Here's another one that I'm embossing called the Burst Snowflakes folder, and it actually comes with coordinating dies, which we're going to be using today. So as you can see, this really amps up your embossing. So I'm going to die cut some accessories to put onto my cards to finish these off. I've used this Airy Pine Needles die to cut out some green cardstock so I can color it in with a little bit of ink. I'm using our Simon Says Stamp Pine ink to shade this die cut so it has some dimension. I'm using a sponge applicator to apply that ink, and I'm just fading out the color as I go towards the outermost edges of the pine needle. Once I have that colored, then I'm going to enhance it with a little bit of glitter. And this happens to be a sneak peek of one of my other 5 ways, and that is to add glitter, especially clear rock candy glitter from Tim Holtz. So I'm going to show you the jar here that we're going to be using for some other projects throughout the video. I'm going to sprinkle this glitter on top of some glue that I've applied down. You can use any adhesive, but I did use our Simon Says Stamp Craft Tacky Glue because it does dry clear, and I do like the clumpiness. It reminds me of some clumps of snow stuck on this pine needle. Bringing in more of those metallic cardstocks, I'm going to die cut a greeting. This happens to say Tidings of Cheer. It's one of our Simon Says Stamp dies, and it's a beautiful sentiment that I die cut from our metallic red. I'm also die cutting it from some white cardstock so I can stack that behind the red layer so that it'll give the sentiment a little bit of dimension off of the shadow. I'm also using that same Craft Tacky Glue to adhere these pieces together. It's a great adhesive for adhering pretty much anything, and the fact that it dries clear is super helpful for when you're adhering die cuts, because if you have any that squishes out the edges, you're never going to notice it. Once I have my greeting set, I'm going to put this onto my card. So here's our pine needles, and they're dry, and I love that sparkly finish that the clear rock candy gives us. The clear rock candy is the perfect twinkle for holiday cards. Every holiday, I love breaking this glitter out, and right now there's a limited edition jar, a giant jar of this glitter that you can get, which I have linked below in the video description, and it's the one I'm using in today's video. Remember those foiled sentiments? Well, I pulled out one of those toner foiled greetings and I stuck that underneath the Tidings of Cheer to complete this card. The metallic shine that is featured throughout this card is a beautiful way to incorporate some holiday glamour to your card projects. And of course, finishing it off with a little bit of glitter and a foiled sentiment doesn't hurt. All right, we do have that other embossed background, and I'm going to use the coordinating dies now to die cut that same matte silver cardstock that I used for the background. I'm going to die cut that with the coordinating dies, and then I'm going to lay those die cuts into the embossing folder, and you'll feel them nestle into place. This is going to emboss these die cuts, and it's going to create beautiful medallions that you could use on their own, but it looks amazing when you layer it on top of your background. So I ran this through my die cutting machine and check these out. So spectacular. And I'm going to die cut quite a few of them so that way I can glue these onto the corresponding shapes that they match up to. So I'm going to use some foam squares to attach these down. You don't have to use foam squares, but it does add a little bit of dimension, and it really makes these medallions stand out. So once I cover many of these in a little trail going from the top to the bottom, we have these nice little cascading snowflake medallions. This is a background that is going to be the showstopper. So I'm going to keep it super simple and add my foiled piece sentiment and also one of the toner foiled greetings. I'm going to then add a few embellishments. This happens to be one of my bonus glitz ideas. Using gem stickers, these happen to be from Rainbow Splash, are an amazing way to add some sparkle to your project. So what I'm doing is I'm putting just a few of these into the centers of each of these snowflake medallions, matching that up to the color that's in my foiled greeting, and check it out. That little extra special touch makes this card go from cool to like super cool. Using metallic cardstocks, whether you're die cutting or embossing, is a great way to add some holiday shine. All right, remember I said we were going to use some more of that rock candy glitter? Well, get ready, because using it with ink and paste is one of my absolute favorite techniques. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink blend on top of our Simon Says Stamp Snow Pattern Stencil. I'm going to attach it along with a piece of white cardstock inside of my Simon Says Stamp Stamp and Stencil mat. This is going to hold the stencil in place along with the paper so that way it doesn't move as I do my ink blending. We're going to use these 3 colors of inks, which are Tide Pool, Marine, and Heather, and these are from our Simon Says Stamp Positively Saturated Inks. I'm going to ink blend these 3 colors in an angle down from the top left to the bottom right. So I started first with Tide Pool, and that's going to give me a nice teal color. Then I brought in Marine, and I'm going to fade that into the Tide Pool and then down towards the bottom where I'm going to feather in a little bit of that Heather. I will trim this panel down. Right now it is a full A2 size card panel, but I wanted some extra space to be able to hold the paper because we are going to apply some paste across this entire piece, and I didn't want to mess up any of the areas that I actually wanted for my card. So the paste that I'm using is a Ranger translucent paste. It's in the gloss finish. You could use gloss or matte. It doesn't matter because we're going to cover it with glitter. Once I've applied the paste, then I'm going to carefully bend this in half so I can start to lift the paper from the mat. This way I won't curl the paper and it'll gently release it from the surface. This is where I'm having to hold some of the corners, and those will kind of get a little marred, but that's okay. I wanted this paper to be a tad bigger so that I could cut off those areas if I have to hold it. So I'm going to take my clear rock candy while the paste is still wet, and I'm going to sprinkle this over top of the entire background. This paste is going to hold that glitter, and it's going to give us a beautiful shimmery background when it's dry. Check it out. These soft, wintry colors sparkle in the light when the sun catches it and gives the perfect winter twinkle. So to turn this into a card, I'm going to actually use some of our Simon Says Stamp Matte Silver metallic cardstock that we used earlier, and I'm going to use that as a frame around my background. Any of that excess I did trim down so it had a nice thin border around my background. For a sentiment, I've pulled out our Simon Says Stamp Monoline Merry Christmas. This elegant thin greeting I've die cut from the same matte silver cardstock, and I'm just poking out the little inner pieces on top of our Positively Perfect craft pad, which is a gentle surface that is fantastic for poking your die cuts out of. That cushion provides a nice surface for your die cut to sit on, so that way when you're poking these out, you don't bend the die cut. So I will glue my sentiment onto the shadow layer with our Simon Says Stamp Craft Tacky Glue, and I'll use my tweezers to help me get this down. It's very delicate and I don't want it shifting as I'm applying it to the paper. I will attach this entire greeting onto my card using some foam tape, and I did put it at a bit of an angle for something special. So because I wanted to keep this card simple, I'm going to just add a few small embellishments, one of which is a bow that I've tied around the bottom using some ribbon that I found in my stash that closely matched the blue color. I'll trim this down so it has a nice finish, and then in some of those negative areas I'm going to apply some gem stickers. I'm using those same Rainbow Splash gem stickers, and I love how the soft pink really paired nicely with the colors that I've used throughout the project. I did also bring in some clear ones that I had in my stash, and I put those in the centers of some of the snowflakes too. So here we are. The beautiful sparkle of this card is just spectacular, and that's made possible by the Tim Holtz Clear Rock Candy Glitter. Such a staple for not just creating fun backgrounds, but also using for embellishing, and I got more of that coming up soon. But before we get to that though, I wanted to share a different type of glitter. This is our Simon Says Stamp Luxe Glitter Cardstock, and if you like glitter for the holidays, this is the glitter paper to use. It does not flake off, and it comes in 2 different packs. You have a holographic pack, and then the classics, which include a champagne, gold, silver, and slate. I'm going to die cut the silver version today, and I'm going to use our Snow Laden trees. This is a beautiful die set that cuts out all the pieces you need to make a few different snowy trees. So I'm going to die cut not only the silver glitter cardstock, but I'm also going to die cut some white cardstock. And we're going to use all the different pieces from these die cuts, because it cuts all the pieces all at once. We're going to use all of them to make multiple trees, and we're just going to reverse where the pieces are being used. So this is a no waste project, because I don't know about you, but glitter paper to me is like gold, so I always like to make the most out of it. So using my Positively Perfect craft pad, I'm going to keep that underneath my die cuts as I poke out all those little inner pieces on the trees, and these are going to be the base for our snow pieces that we'll add on top. The Place and Pierce tool from Simon Says Stamp is also another really great tool to have on hand for poking your die cuts out. Here's where I'm going to start gluing everything together. So I've picked out some of the snow caps that go with the trees, and I'm going to start gluing the white ones onto the silver trees. And I really like this. This looks so pretty, but it's also cool with the reverse too. And this is why I love this project, because it allows me to get a no waste effect. So I'm going to be able to utilize those little snow pieces on the right there, cut from the silver glitter paper, with my white trees. And I think both look really, really neat. So I'm going to actually make a whole bunch of these so I can make multiple tags. And what's really nice about a die like this is because it cuts out multiple things all at once, you get a lot of pieces really quickly that you can then assemble and then have multiple elements that you can put onto your card projects, or in this case, I'm going to make tags. So for the base of my tags, I'm going to use these 3 colors of our Positively Saturated inks, starting with Marine. I'm going to fade this marine into the center so that way I can get a really nice halo effect, which makes it look like there might be some light glowing behind the tree, maybe the moon. So after ink blending the marine color, then I brought in Royal. And I'm going to focus both Royal and Galaxy towards the bottom because I want that area to have the most darkest color and the most contrast. So the Galaxy is a great transition from Royal to create a really nice deep blue. So when I was ink blending the tags, I ink blended all of my tags all at once. When you're making multiples, working in an assembly line style, which means doing all your die cutting all at once, doing all your stenciling all at once, all of your ink blending, and so on and so forth, it makes the creative process that much faster. So speaking of stenciling, here's a sneak peek at one of my next topics, which is paste. Paste is another great way to add holiday glitz, and this one is the opalescent stencil butter. This I just applied through a snow stencil from our Simon Says Stamp collection, which looks beautiful behind these trees. These trees I'm going to attach down with some foam tape so they have a little bit of dimension, and I just love this contrast. And I love the effect that both of the two different versions of these trees provide. The tags are cohesive, but each has kind of its own personality because the trees are different shapes and they're reversed with where the colors are being used. So the way I finish these off is to use one of those foiled greetings that we started off with, and so I put those on top of each of the trees, which gives a beautiful shine to go with the glitter. Now here's a little tidbit for you. This is what I like to do for my tags. Anything that has ink on the back side of it, or if it's a pattern paper that has another pattern on the back, I cover the back side of my tag with a clean tag. So I just die cut to the same tag and then glue the clean one behind the tag that I'm working with. So that way when I go to write on the tag, I have a nice clean surface to do that. I topped off the tags by adding some nice ribbon and some of our Simon Says Stamp white and silver twine. These glitter papers are a fantastic way to add easy holiday sparkle. It's no mess because if you don't like to deal with loose glitter, all you have to do is die cut it and you get an amazing glitter finish with no fuss. All right, we're hitting the home stretch. Last of my favorite ways to add holiday glitz is glitter paste. So I'm going to use our layering peppermints, stencils, and these are fantastic for creating fun little candies. I'm going to use that same stamp and stencil mat that we used earlier, and I'm going to again apply some white cardstock inside. And we're going to start with this base layer of the base of the little candies. I'm making sure to align this inside of the black square of my stamp and stencil mat because that's exactly 6 by 6 inches. And so the stencil, which is 6 by 6, is going to line up in there perfectly. And so the second layer that I add on top, I can just nestle inside of that same black square. And it gives me the easiest way to be able to quickly layer up my layering stencils. So on to the ink blending. I'm using Ballet ink from Rainbow Splash. This is a beautiful soft pink color. I'm going to remove the stencil to reveal the base of each of our fun candies. And now I'm going to bring in that second layer. Again, lining it up inside of the black square so that way my candy layers are lined up perfectly. Now I'm going to use Scarlet, a beautiful red from Rainbow Splash. This is great for holiday colors. I'm going to use this to apply ink through the second layer of the stencil, which is adding the fun detail wrappings. I love peppermint candies. They are just the cutest things ever and always so quintessential for the holidays. So once we do our ink blending here, I'm not going to remove the stencil yet. I'm actually going to bring in some paste. This is red glitter glaze from Brutus Monroe, and I'm applying this over top of that red that we just applied down. Again, don't take off the stencil yet because you want this lined up perfectly. You're just going to apply that paste through the stencil on top of that red ink. Because this glitter glaze is semi-translucent, we want that red ink underneath to give us that nice, deep, rich red. And that sparkle that it provides is, oh my goodness, so beautiful. So I'm going to carefully lift this off of my stamp and stencil mat so that way I can utilize this as my background for my card project. Another tidbit I wanted to share is cleaning your stamp and stencil mat. And yes, I did get a little bit of paste on here, but it cleans up very easily by just using some of the Brutus Monroe Ultra Squeaky Clean Cleaner that is meant to work with these mats. I have that linked below also, along with all the other products that I'm using today. So if you're curious about anything, including that spray, you can find it all there. For my greeting, I'm going to break out more of that same metallic cardstock we used earlier. This time I'm going to die cut our Happy Christmas die from that rich red metallic cardstock. I'll glue this greeting onto the shadow layer using my favorite craft tacky glue, using my tweezers to help me hold that in place as I align it onto the paper. And then this greeting is going to go along the bottom, but we're not quite done yet. I want to give this card even more pizzazz because like I said, I love adding extra glitz and glamour to my holiday cards. So first thing I did was I ink blended a little bit of color along the bottom of my card. I wanted some contrast down there to go with the greeting, kind of ground it. So using that same Scarlet ink, after the paste dried, I just added that darker color down there. And I really like how that makes the sentiment pop. Here I brought in some candy cane confections from Tim Holtz. These are adorable. And we're going to add some glitter to these. So I'm going to use some glossy accents, and I'm just going to run a little line of glue along the edge of the candy cane, and I'm going to bring in that same clear rock candy, and I'm going to apply that over top of the glitter. So now I have these glitter encrusted candy canes, which will look so adorable on top of this card and really pull that whole peppermint theme together. I'm going to let those dry, and meanwhile I'll add one of my other foiled greetings that I created earlier in the video, which I foiled in a beautiful green color that complements the red nicely. To attach my confections, I am going to use our Simon Says Stamp Redline tape. Redline tape is one of my absolute favorite adhesives for applying anything other than paper onto my card or mixed media projects, because it holds literally everything: wood, ribbon, embellishments, you name it. So I'm going to use just a thin strip of our 1/8 inch redline tape and put that on the back of each of my confection pieces, and that way I'm going to get these really nice pieces adhered safely onto my card, and I don't have to worry about the glue having to dry or anything like that because it's a tape, so it's instantly attached. I did also add a couple of the round confections too onto my card project. I decided I wanted a few more extra pieces, and I also added that same clear rock candy onto these as well. The last thing I did was I tied a small bow in some red ribbon along the bottom of the card project, just to really add a little bit more of that festive finishing touch. And I just used my Simon Says Stamp scissors to trim the ribbon down into a nice little angle cut. There we have it, the final card of my 5 ways in 5 days adding holiday glitz. I love adding holiday glitz. I hope you do too, and I hope that all of these ideas were inspiring and that you'll try them out. Dig out all your favorite metallics, glitters, pastes, and go to town creating some beautifully sparkly and shiny projects this holiday season. Don't forget to stay tuned for all of the other 5 ways in 5 days videos available exclusively on our Simon Says Stamp YouTube channel and blog. We hope you're enjoying this series. Thank you so much for watching, and have a fabulous day.
Hi there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at SimonSaysStamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.